Focus area 4 of the city's master plan from R3 residential to residential professional actually began a few years ago with the creation of the city's master plan. And at that time, a working committee identified 7 potential areas to look at in the future for rezoning potential. I originally presented the 7 focus areas to the Planning Commission back on October 19th, 2011. And at that time, they determined for the 3 of the focus areas, they'd like to see a little additional information gathered, some trend analysis and things like that. The second meeting of the Planning Commission occurred on December 14th, and at that time, it was determined that the rezoning focus should be on Area 4. A public hearing was scheduled for February 15th, 2012. With the Planning Commission, at which time they unanimously recommended Focus Area 4 be rezoned from R3 residential to residential professional. Just a little data on Focus Area 4. It consists of 44 parcels. It's 19.3 acres. 10 of the 44 parcels are parkland or commercial. 34 are residential in nature. And of the 34 parcels, 16 are owner-occupied. So owner-occupied residences account for approximately 47% of the residential land use, which we feel is extremely high. This area also seems to continue to attract new owners. In fact, since 2000, 9 residences have been purchased and are currently owner-occupied. A zoning change to this area will benefit the city in several ways. It will eliminate additional structures being converted to multifamily residences. It will protect the high level of home ownership in the area, promote family occupancy, and encourage office space potential in the central business district. Both the Planning Commission and the City Commission are required to look at section 14.24 of the zoning ordinance and its standards for zoning amendment review. Number 1, the use requested shall be consistent with and promote the intent and purpose of this ordinance. Number 2, the proposed use will ensure that the land use or activity authorized shall be compatible with adjacent land uses, the natural environment, and the capabilities of public services affected by the proposed land use. Number 3, the land use sought is consistent with the public health, safety, and welfare of the city of Big Rapids. And number 4, the proposed use is consistent with the city's master plan or a determination that the plan is not applicable due to a mistake in the plan, changes in relevant conditions, or changes in relevant plan policies.
Commissioner James?
Why now? Or was it just time to look at it?
At the beginning of each year, the master plan requires that we go through and answer some questions to see how well we were performing with the proposals in the plan. And that's kind of what got me to initiate this whole process.
I'm confused on, and maybe it's just the way the residential 30, take the right page, and then I can ask this intelligently maybe. There we go. There are 16 owner-occupied residences in focus area equating to 47%, and I think you said that is a high level or a high percentage. In comparison to what? What are you comparing it to say that that's a high percentage of owner-occupied?
Essentially, the city's average. The city's average is 35% owner-occupied versus 65% renter-occupied. We're kind of exactly opposite of the national.
Really?
Yes.
And that was a figure that, if you recall, representatives from Sault Ste. Marie were down, I think, in November, and when they left, they generated a report, and in that report, that statistic was referenced for the city of Big Rapids, which I think we were the only one that we had more non-owner occupied dwellings of the communities they looked at, which included Sault Ste. Marie, Alpena, and a couple other places as well.
My understanding there were a number of citizens who were in attendance at the meetings, and the majority of them were also in favor of the rezoning, so it therefore appears on your table with that recommendation.
All right. Is there a motion to approve of this rezoning ordinance?
Support.
We'll open it to public comment then. Is there public comment? Ms. Glatz, please.
I would like to respectfully disagree with Mr. Schweppenheiser and some of the information that you may or may not have from that meeting. Of course, I was not there, so I can't tell you what happened there. But as a realtor, I can tell you that when you rezone or differently zone a property, you're taking away people's private property rights, and you further erode the probability of sale in that area. I believe what you should do is enforce what you have now. If you did enforce, you wouldn't have to worry about conversions and all that stuff. Okay, you're like crazy about, oh my gosh, what happens if they would make another rental here? Well, they can't. If you enforce what you have, you don't have to change all those things. Enforce what you have. If you're trying to stop the student housing in the city, just enforce what you have. Have the houses been holding value in the rezoned areas? Let's take the RP zone. I don't know how many of you have really looked at the website for the city. If you get into it or not, it'll take you maybe a half hour if you make a lot of work of it. This is from someone who's technically challenged. There's a few homes in that RP area that need to be talked about. 203 Ives, a single-family home, sold in 2011. The assessed value was $45. If you double that, it's $91.2. It sold for $81.5. Of course, you're not going to get as much taxes on that. 410 Linden. That was a single unit but rental home that sold for double the assessed. 422 Linden. That was sold for double the assessed. Also a single unit rental. 120 South Stewart. The assessed value is 68.2. I'm sorry, 68.1. If you times it by 2, it's 136,000. Okay, that one sold for 45. There's Claire Schwartz debacle. There's a foreclosure going on at 231 Ives. That's assessed at 43.5. You double that, it's 97. It's listed at 79. That's listed. It probably won't sell for near that. A lot of work has to be done on the inside. In the RP zone, 111 South Stewart was purchased in December of '02. They made a business on the main floor, living quarters upstairs. Just ideal, just exactly what you want. That's what the RP is supposed to be for, okay? Well, it's been on the market for 8 years. Still hasn't sold. Good, well kept up. You know, the neighborhood's good, you know, but it's not selling. It's not selling. What you wanted to have happen is not happening. And this poor guy is sitting there with this house. It's not sold. He's put some students in the upstairs. He's got to make something out of it. 104 South Stewart. On the market for 3 years, still on the market. 117 South Stewart. It's been on the market for 2 years, is now off the market. 310 Ives, on the market 2 years. 314 Ives, the bank owns. 321 Warren is been on the market for over 3 years. 331 Warren, assessed at 125, was on the market for 285, now on the market for 235. It's been on the market for over 2 years. So it's kind of created a mess with all these properties, you know. If you want to rezone the entire city to keep the students out, which you keep denying that you want to do that, but I mean it's obvious to anybody taking, you know, looking at things. enforce what you have now. Don't create new things that you have to try and figure out what to do with. I don't understand why you keep trying to do this. It'll take care of itself. The supply and demand thing will take care of itself, but the enforcement of what you already have on the books is key to this. You've just got to do that, you know? If you got a 50-foot lot, of course you can't convert it to a multifamily. So enforce what you have, and then it won't happen. It's real simple, rather than making another mess.
I would like to just, make a comment. It's going to contradict a little bit of what Sue said, but I own 2 properties in the RP, the current RP district, and one of them has been a single-family rental for a long time, and it's been listed for 3 years, but because we were building a house and we knew we were moving, I thought I would just go ahead and put it on the market. I never have a problem renting it. This last time it took a little while, but I just kept saying no to the animals. I could have had it rented in 24 hours if I would have taken animals. So I do know for a fact there are a lot of people looking to rent single-family homes because they are in need of them in this community. I do know that. And the 331 South Warren, I didn't advertise. I just moved a family in there on day 1. So I didn't even attempt to rent it, but I'm sure I could have rented it had that not happened. Again, that's been on the market for 2 years because we were building a house, and I figured if it sold well, I guess we better hurry up and finish the one we're building. But part of this, and in part of your statistics, is simply the real estate economy today. And you know that as a real estate person. Houses are not, it's a buyer's market. Houses are not selling for what they were selling for 5 years ago. And there's a lot of people who don't have jobs, they don't have the financial ability to buy, and they're renting. So I know you're throwing statistics at us, but I guess that's the other side of the debate.
Has been recognized as a constitutional and legitimate exercise of governmental authority's ability to regulate use on property. To take it away, that's eminent domain, and that's not what this is envisioning. It is to govern use, and when we look at what a master plan and a planning commission has done in recommending to the city what they envision by way of use, I don't see that myself as we're taking away property rights. All right, why don't we take a vote on this then?
Anderson?
Yes.
Hoganson?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Rothstein?
Yes.
Warba?
Yes.